however, I've seen quite a lot more sentries take the time to move around.
Yeah, and let's see if we can see any of those sentries as we get right into our next match. UAlberta versus UT Austin. We're ready to go.
All right, so one thing I wanted to point out already is UT Austin is not fielding a sentry, so they're going to try and have to use 2 robots versus the 3 that University of Alberta have on the field.
Absolutely. Now we see both of the piloted robots from the UAlberta side, from the Artemis side. They made an interesting path around the central capture point, but they do ultimately end up in the zone. Those RFID cards being detected. You can see that little plus sign underneath the University of Alberta logo as they continue to earn those 1 victory points per second.
Yeah, so one thing I find interesting is that UT Austin, despite kind of having that earlier lead of getting around the corner, didn't go for that central area. I wonder what their strategy or what they were thinking about there was.
Yeah, looks like maybe a bit of hesitancy from the Red Hero. They make their way briefly out of the top, now the side of the central capture point. Maybe they have a little bit of hesitancy, like maybe they want to go and try to be a little bit more aggressive against those blue robots, but they can't quite see where they are. They got that big wall acting as defense. Now, for those of us at home, we can see on the far right side of our screen the first-person perspective of those blue robots as they make their way around the field.
Yeah, so one thing I will say when we're looking at this game in comparison to years previously is especially what it means to play defensively versus offensively. So in years past, each team would have a base area that they were trying to protect. So if a team wanted to act more defensively, they would definitely stay around that base. However, the wind conditions have really changed here, so there isn't really that much advantage to playing a defensive game. Like, if you're not in that center area, you're not going to be getting those points.
Absolutely, yeah. UAlberta on the red side, almost at halfway to that victory condition. 94 out of the 200 victory points required to secure the win in this round. That Hero pushing a little bit more aggressively towards the blue side. They have that blue robot in their sights. We'll have to see if either team decides to take on any more aggressive actions. Both of those red piloted robots continue to remain in that central capture point. They still have possession with just over 2.5 minutes left in the match. 120 out of the 200 victory points now needed for that win underneath the belts of the red team.
Yeah, so it looks like our blue team might be having some trouble with their robots getting moving. The movements aren't looking too smooth, so I wonder if there's something drive-wise that's going on.
It's interesting because we did see both blue robots leave the starting zone and make their way behind that barrier into that bunker, but now looks like that blue hero back at home as UAlberta now at 150 victory points, 3/4 of the way to the victory.
So what's interesting is, although blue is acting quite defensively, University of Alberta is not having to fire that many shots to be getting quite close to this winning condition.
Yeah, I did see Artemis fire off 1 42mm projectile earlier. They still have 3 in their hopper, or in their 3 in the chamber there in the red hero. Looks like that hero still on that central capture point. They're still continuing to earn 1 point per second. 180 out of 200 now. We'll have to see if UT is able to make any pushes, They have to be aggressive now or never if they want to take this round.
All right, we see those red robots getting up to that nearly 200. Any second now, it's going to happen.
Blue infantry coasting back and forth on that far right side. They look back and forth, but as you said, Amelia, 200 victory points to the red team, and Artemis takes home that first round.
All right, so going into this next round, what do you think that Stampede, the University of Texas team, needs to do?
You know, I'm not exactly sure what happened there, because we saw at the very start of that match, both blue robots, both the robots from University of Texas at Austin Stampede, did make their way out of that starting zone and out into that bunker area in between the ramps and the edge of the field, right behind those defensive barriers. They were driving around, they were moving, they seemed like they were doing it, and then they just sort of stopped.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if something happened with the actual driving mechanics going on with their robots.
Yeah, we do see here on the stat screen that UT Austin did fire off only 7 17mm projectiles. So perhaps some issues with the firing system as well on their side. low damage over in this match. Neither side really firing that many projectiles, only 48 on the side of UAlberta as well. 40 points of damage dealt by UAlberta versus the 20 done by UT Austin. So double, but again, still of a very low amount. And ultimately, UAlberta does earn all of the victory points just by the amount of time spent on that capture point.
Yeah, so it's really interesting that despite the fact that neither team was really firing that much or really doing any damage, Alberta was very dominant just in the way that they were choosing to play the game by pulling both of their robots out and into that central zone.
Yeah, I wonder if we could take a look away from the stat screen and back to the round as we get our field reset for round 2 of this match. If we could get back to the field, there we go. We can see our volunteers shooting the balls as per usual, and also both teams looking at their robots, maybe to see if we can get some improvements done. Not exactly sure what they're doing on the red side of the field. Looks like they're paying attention specifically to their hero. I wonder if we get a better camera angle there from our production crew.
I wonder if they might be trying to look at that sentry they had, because I don't think we saw it do very much during that last match.
Yeah, we were talking during the break there about the specific capabilities or technical leaps we should be looking for, and I think we have those mission markers around the field. I think teams have been working a lot on having their sentries navigate autonomously, automatically around the field, especially the obstacles this year and the bumps, and making sure that the robots know exactly where they are and where they aren't. So hopefully they can figure out what's going on with their sentries so we can see some more of that automatic navigation and some of that target detection there from those autonomous robots.
All right. And while we have the rest of the setup happening, we do have another question. Are the robots controlled by team-specific hardware, or does RoboMaster provide the equipment? And if so, how are the robots connected to it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we've been talking a lot about these referee system modules. One of the modules is going to be the main control module. That's going to be your main interface between the game and the robot. So that is a module provided by the RoboMaster team. And that module connects to the various wireless networks, the network we have to run the game here in RoboMaster. And then, yeah, thank you, Christian, for switching over to this first-person perspective. The RoboMaster team provides this first-person perspective. So just like a video game at home, we have a keyboard, a mouse, a screen, a headset, and these pilots are just sitting right in front of their gaming computer, and they're playing it just like a video game. They've got a keyboard and mouse. They can see right through the camera on the robot in a first-person perspective. So it is hardware provided by RoboMaster, but the way that they're interfacing with it is just like a video game right at home.
Yeah, and then to go a level deeper as well is that how they're then able to control the robots is team specific. So they have to write the controls code that works on how the robot is moving around.
Absolutely. We shall see how the controls code works and how it got updated during that 2-minute or 3-minute setup period as the robots from UAlberta quickly once again make their way towards that central bump point in a more direct fashion this time. Straight into those capture points, they start earning those 1 victory points a second.
We see them immediately getting some shots off at the other team. It looks like the University of Texas's blue hero has not been able to move very much again, so I'm wondering if there really is something wrong with that drive. I'm hoping by the time we see them again, they will have a hero doing a little more.
Yeah, it looks like Alberta being a little bit more aggressive this time. They send their infantry a little bit deeper into blue territory before quickly retreating back towards that central capture point. Remember, if they've at least 1 robot in that zone, they'll continue to earn that 1 victory point per second. 42, almost a quarter of the way there to that victory for UAlberta in this second round with 4 minutes left on the clock.
All right, and it looks like Alberta unfortunately was not able to get their sentry up and running for the second match. We do see it back in that left-hand corner, but it doesn't look like it's really doing anything to try and get out and help the rest of its team.
Absolutely. Hopefully both teams can figure out what they can improve on their robots, figure out all of the issues to make sure teams can rejoin when they next get to the field. Looks like you can see that blurred screen from that first-person perspective on the bottom right. That's going to be the overheat mechanic. Looks like that red infantry fires just a little bit too quickly, a little bit too fast, or maybe too many projectiles at a time. And so they're going to have a blurry screen as they make their way back towards that reload zone to buy more projectiles until that cooldown expires. Here we are now in the cockpit of a blue standard free.
Oh, we see that blue hero as well, actually coming out and around.
Blue infantry shaking their head no. Looks like maybe trying to loosen a jam perhaps. Both robots from the blue side now up in that top right corner. We're in the cockpit with that blue standard free as they lock eyes with those red infantry, or that red infantry and hero. But those red infantry red robots in general do remain on that central capture point for the next 2 minutes or so. They'll continue to earn 1 ranking victory point per second as they approach that final tally of 200.
Yeah, so it makes me wonder, now that UT Austin has got those blue robots out and about, will they try and get them into that green zone?
Blue hero very aggressive. They make their way around the central capture point, now pushing directly into the 2 robots there in that zone. Now getting fired upon by red infantry 3.
All right. Blue infantry is kind of sneaking up the back there.
Yeah, the blue hero was briefly on the ramp. They make their way back around to join their companion, the infantry, now surrounding that capture point. But with red robots still in that central capture point, even if that zone is contested by a blue robot, red continues to earn that victory point until they vacate the zone.
All right. And Alberta has kept a very good job of defending this green area from the blue team. They are being aggressive and trying to protect that zone.
Capture point still held by Alberta. They've got just 6 more points until they win this round, and with that capture point under their control, University of Alberta does take the second round of Alberta versus UT Austin. Some cheers for Artemis in the Twitch chat from the folks watching at home, as UAlberta does take 200 total victory points over UT Austin 0. Unfortunately, we're not able to take possession of that central capture zone. 180 points of damage done by that red team. No robot knockouts though, however, with 177 total projectiles fired by that red team. Only 8 done by blue. I have to wonder, once again, like you were saying, Amelia, if there's any issues going on with that UT team and their robots.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see in their upcoming matches what they're able to do about that. So we will be seeing Artemis taking 2 of those points as well into their group. So we'll have to see how that does in terms of the Group D rankings.